Yeah, welcome back to the Career Build Series, episode number 41. And so we're going to continue working on the helicopter. One of the reasons I've kind of made a little departure from, say, oil and all these other things is I want to be able to also have plenty of capability to do missions. And currently we bought the FJ Warner docks, which is convenient because we have the ability to launch some sea vehicles, some aircraft, land vehicles, and trains. So we pretty much can launch anything we want there at maximum size, which is a nice development. And so one of the things we could utilize is having a helicopter here. This is going to allow us to do some of the rescues. It's also going to allow me to transport my carcass around. You know, currently I'm having to do some teleporting because I don't really have that ability to move too much, so I would like to get that under control. Also, as we progress, it's going to be nice to have a vertical takeoff aircraft made during the series here. So let's go ahead and get started there. All right, so made good progress with this helicopter. I'd like to get it finished up is never the right word, but a little bit more complete so that it is usable. And so I think that's important. So currently it's running, it's flying well, let's put it that way. And so let's go ahead, and this is going to be a panel. All right, so I'm going to get ready to try to, I want to make all my doors work here. Let's see, where do I want that door controller? This is the only one there. Okay. Interesting. So, okay, so this is going to have to be for this front door. Okay, and so this one will control both. This will control this door. It will also control this door here, I think. And then I want to put a panel here for actually articulating or operating the door outside. I'm just setting up this really quick. Just something that is going to need to be done at some point anyway. All right. And so this is going to be, let's see. Let's do arrow button to the right. We'll make that, oh, sorry, I don't want to do this one. Let's go none there. Yeah, let's go none there. Let's go none here. Let's go main door. All right, there's going to be an arrow button to the left. That's going to be a push. That's going to be, well, yeah, we'll call that. I'll keep them in order. It doesn't matter. We're not going to make a very big microcontroller. That's 3. This is pilot door, or we'll do cockpit door. Cockpit door, okay, arrow button to the right. So it's pointing at the door that it actually opens. At the push, that's going to be 4. All right, here we go on this. So this is going to be none, none. This is going to be arrow button. Probably left, I think, is where I want it. There we go. That's going to be main door. That's also going to be a push. This will be 7. And that'll be none. All right, good. And so let's go ahead and bang together a quick microcontroller. So I'll take my blank micro. So some of the stuff I generally just like use old microcontrollers, but I'm also trying to get kind of in the habit of rebuilding some of the stuff just so that, you know, people who may be new can see it. All right, so logic coming in is going to be a composite. That's input. That's from panels. Then we have number output. That's cockpit door. All right, and this is going to be main door. There we go. Nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get this set up here. Pretty simple here. All right, so the main door, we are going to use an up-down counter. I want a... This is just going to limit it to 1 click. I want to make sure I limit it to 1 click. Sometimes I screw these up and I forget how to set them up correctly, so I'll have to double check that. Checking the not number. I'm gonna read on off. So this one is gonna be this one. We have two options actually. So that's gonna go like that. So this is gonna be either 3 or 7. And because that has two options, we're gonna put an or in there. All right, and that's gonna go to the top here. And so that's right there. All right, so 0 is going to be closed. Increment is 1. So 0 is closed, 1 is open, 2 is reset. So now we need a threshold gate. So when this reads 2, that will reset it to close, so that loops it. That will go out to the, what are we doing, main door on this one? Main door, like so, bingo, good. All right, now I need one of these. All right, so this is going to be for the cockpit door. And so I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. Let's see, do I want 2 on this or 1? Let's look. So so right now I need to reserve the space potentially for keypads. You know, I could put the keypads on this side and not have to reserve that space. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it like this. I might change my mind on this. I don't know yet. I have not decided yet. Let's do this instead, actually. Let's grab this panel. So I kind of figured out what I want to do here, I think. So let's take this one here. And I'm going to press the U key and just... That doesn't do it. Yep, press the U key. Nah, I don't want to press the U key. I was going to say, it flips the panel backwards. It's just going to make it a pain for me to remember. So let's go like that. Merge that there. Let's go ahead and I'll just put a block back on the door here. And so this panel here will be, you know, control either door, and then this one will do the same thing here, so. And so this will do the same thing. So so this is going to be 7 is going to be cockpit door, and then we'll make 8 here. Main door. All right, and then this one will be an arrow button to the right, so they're just, again, they're just pointing where they're going. All right, that's better, I think. That way, because I want to reserve this space on the door. I might put panels on the door here. And if I do that, I want to make sure I have the ability to do that. I don't want to put something in the way. All right, so let's go ahead. While I'm here, I'm going to hook up the composites. We'll daisy chain them through. Nothing's reading back, so that can just go through like so. Let's go ahead in here. This needs to change now to 8. I changed the number on there. This is going to be 3, and that's going to be 7. No, it's not 3. It's going to be 4 and 7. 4, and this is going to be 7. All right, so same diff here. Nice. And I can just grab all this here up through the OR. Like that. Nice. Nice. All right, good. So that's there. And then this will be cockpit door. And then I always forget the pulses. So let's try without the pulse. I'm going to probably need a pulse in there, but I can also show you what it does. If I don't do this in a while, I tend to forget, you know, I forget exactly how they operate. Sometimes they loop correctly, sometimes they don't. So instead of just trying to remember all the time, I'll just check it out and show you. All right, so infinite electricity, currently still working with infinite electricity. Let's sit you down. This is going to be backwards here. All right, so let's see here. Did not finish the panel. Let's finish the panel, actually. So this isn't going to give me any... So... can actually set this up to work correctly without having to put too many thresholds in, but I have to redo it. So 0 is fine. One will work for the cockpit door. 2 will then shut it. Fine. That all works. This one is working backwards. Nope, that should work. Should it? I'll have to look at it. So reset value should be on this one -1. Increments 1. It should be -1 to 1. 1 should reset this one. That's because the other door starts in the open position. And the whole reason the other one starts in the open position is because I put those wedge blocks. Okay, so that is... I need to look at which way I have this going. Okay, so I screwed that up. Not a big deal. Alright, so this should start not with -1, but 1. Alright, and then... So for this one, 1 is closed. It will count up to 0. And then maximum will be... Well, I guess it was right. Yeah, just the reset value needed to change. Let's do that. So that door should close on spawn, as you can see. So on spawn, that closes. Let's click it. Alright. This one works. Okay, so that blocks the door, which is interesting. But I can then close it. Alright, open it again. Alright, so see how it's doing that? It's giving it more than one click, and that's why we need the pulse. Because it's over-clicking, it's clicking twice. And so that's why we need the pulse in there. So let's stick a pulse in there. Generally, I find it best to put the pulse at the booleans. Sometimes it doesn't like it at the OR, but the likelihood that we're pushing both buttons is probably slim. So let's try throwing a pulse in here. So the pulse is going to give us one click, essentially. And that's why I use it. Okay. So that should shut on spawn. Let's click open the main door. Okay, I think I need to put it to always. That one was broken before. I need to fix that. So that's actually a value problem. This one should click close on one click. So the pulse is limiting it so that every time I click it, it can only click once. And that way I can click that door open, I can go out. The problem is I can't close this door because of where this is located. If I put it here, I should be able to work that door, I think. So that's not an ideal location for that button. Alright, so that is not an ideal location for that button because this door covers it. So what I can do really, if I go there, it's still out of the way. Let me try to see. So how do I want to do this? Trying to think what would be best for this. I don't want too many panels if I can avoid it. Because we want to be able to shut this, open this door and then shut it again. So I'm trying to think, what's the best way to do this without this being in the way? I could put it here, but then if this is open, I wonder if I can reach it. So let's try this. Let's cut the, oh, I can't do there. Crap. All right. Little bit of an issue already, but because you want to be able to close the door again, like when you're securing the vehicle. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to focus on it too long, but let's fix this door here, and then I'll think of where to move that later. Once we get some panels, and that will help too. So this one, let's see what's up. So one should be the closed position. Up right here. It's this threshold needs to go back up to 2. Let me just double check logic-wise and think through it really quick. So it's going to start at 1. When I click it, it's then going to go to 2, which should send it to 0, which should open it. Yep, that should work. Okay. And that's all because, again, of those 45 wedges. So I don't want a square door. I wanted this more shapely door. Okay, it's still not working. What the heck, man? So I need to make sure it's not a panel issue. It's probably something simple. Everybody's yelling at the screen what it is, but... Okay, let me check it all. Often something silly. I still make a lot of silly mistakes. So 3, main door is 3. Okay. 3, main door 3. Main door is also 8. 3 and 8 should be main door. Let's check it. 3 and 8. Okay, you're connected there to ores and pulse. Main door connected. Did I connect everything? Yep, that's connected, so that should be fine. Let's quickly see what the hell I'm doing wrong. All right. So the increment is 1, the clamp is enabled. So it's starting at 1. 1 is the closed position. 0 should be the open position. So if I start at 1 and I go to 2, and then reset value is 1. So 2 is resetting. 1 is closed. Okay, reset should be... Okay, that's wise. It's never getting to 0. Okay. So I could start with the door open. So just do this and start with the door open. And then I have to manually close it. That's probably going to be the best bet. So that was what the issue was. So let's see. So now I should be able to close the door. Should be able to open the door. Yep, get on in there and test the inside switch. Yep, okay. So that's working. I'll screw around with trying to figure out where I want this panel. The only issue, like I said, is if I open this door, it's not a big deal if I get in, because I can get in and I can close it. The issue now becomes if I get out, say I want to get out here, in order for me to close this door, I can't do... I can kind of cheat it. Like, I can go like that. Let's see. If I open this door, can I look at the panel underneath? I can. Let's stick it underneath. I didn't know if this was going to obscure it or not. So it does not obscure it. So let's cut this. And let's go down like that. And that's not the most elegant solution, but that will solve it. So quick test. I know it's kind of simplistic stuff, but these little details that are can make a build pretty well. So like, see now if I have to kind of stand off the side, but it still works. And so like I want to work this door, I can still work. I have to stand off the side, but I have my doors working. Perfect. So that works pretty well there. Okay, so a little bit of a basic thing to do, but it was necessary. And flick at the camera again. Yay. All right, so it's running, it's flying well. We have a good speed. Our engine RPS is not excessive, so we shouldn't be burning a ton of fuel, which is nice. All of that is gravy. For some reason, I want to play with this glass. I don't know why I do, but I do. Let's play with the glass a little bit. Let's try something here. Symmetry. Let's try rounding out this glass a little, see how I like it. I have to use the dreaded diamonds again that drive me absolutely nuts. So what would that be? That would be a 2 by something. 2 by 2 by 3 maybe. I really hate these diamonds. They're not all that intuitive to me. Okay, so 2, it's got to be a 3 by, what is it? It's 2 by 2 by 3. It's going to be a 3 by 2 by 3, I think. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so that gives it a little bit more of a shapely glass. And then what is it? This one? No, it's the 3. It's this one. Okay. All right, let's try that. That's a little bit more shapely. I kind of like that. And then let's go like that. I think I'm digging that. That's kind of, it's rounded out a little bit more. Nice. I like that. That's interesting. I like that. All right, so this panel is definitely not sticking out like it is there. Let's get rid of these for now. Definitely not going to stick out anymore like that. Ooh, crap. These have to go then if I do this. So let's see. I'm trying to think how I want to set up this flight panel here. Do I need this much visibility in the corners? I could push the seat forward. Do I do that is the question. First, let's do this, I think. See how I want to set this up. Linear speed can go. This can... those can stay for right now. So these are my choices. I can either put the panel here, or I can push the panel back one closer to the seat. And I think spatially I want it here. The issue is the windows are a little bit weird if I do that. So what I think, I don't know. It feels weird, but I think it works fine. Is the issue. I don't know, man. You know, you know, you can still see out here. Let's start putting some panels in, see what I think. So I always take my symmetry off for panels just because they'll be inverted, and I don't want them inverted. And so I generally do like a 2 stack of panels, and then I'll do something like an empty storage container. Oh, come on, man. Give me the rotation that I want. Thank you. All right, so that's more than enough gauges there. I'm trying to look at this headliner. So I could actually put some things in the headliner now that I could actually reach by extending that. By extending this forward, I can now put some things in the headliner. And then what do I have here? Let's go put an empty in here like so. And then maybe, I don't know, symmetry back on. Give that a little shapeliness. I don't know. Let's do a coolant manifold here. Do a couple windows. Right, like so for rudder pedals. Right there, like so. Let's go. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Trying to integrate this area here to the sides. That's not bad. The throttle's in the way here, which is kind of screwing me up at the moment, but that will go. That will go at some point. Just presently need it for testing and making sure that flight dynamics work. All right. Could change that out for a 1x2 pyramid and then something else too. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Or even like make that like bag storage or something. All right, so I'll probably live with it with this gap here. I think that looks fine. Let's jump in there, see how it feels. I don't want to get too picky early, but you know, ripping out your panel is a big deal. So this actually feels really good, space-wise. Yeah, that feels really good space-wise. I can touch the first set of panels, so I can put a set of panels here if I wanted. I haven't decided yet what I want to put up there. But that feels pretty good in here. Yeah, this doesn't weird me out being in here. It actually kind of looks right. Let's try something here, see if I can do it without it looking wonky weird. See if I can do it without it looking wonky weird here. So let's see. So a lot of this, you don't need this many panels in here. That's kind of the thing too, is it's like, you don't really need all this, but it doesn't, need doesn't often come into play in game. It's like, what do you want is most important. So, and I kind of have to like almost unweird it here. Like that. See, the problem is I can't put a corner piece in there, so that doesn't look right. So it'll probably, let's see, where do I want? Do I want a HUD? Kind of thinking I might want a HUD. And then let's see where the HUD sits for my visibility. So that might be too high. It's probably too high. Let's kind of see. Yeah, the HUD's too high, so the HUD would have to be hanging down one. So that was one of the reasons I was thinking of raising this up is to get a HUD here. So let's try something here just to see. To put a HUD holder on top here like so. Yeah, that's ultra weird, like just like that. There's just too much wasted space. Like, problem is the windows have collisions that really aren't no use to me, and I don't want XML windows. I just don't ever XML windows. I'm not interested in it. Really, I'm not. I just want to see. I'm just testing out how high that HUD is and if that works for me. All right, so this is a correct HUD. Like the nose is blocking visibility anyway, so like even going up like this doesn't block visibility. I don't need these side panels if I go up higher. So let's try this. Let's try something. Just trying to flesh this out. It's important to kind of hit some of this stuff early. So I'd have like, that's a little weird. And then that lets me sculpt that in a little bit better, I think, to do that. Let's play with this and see where I'm at. If I have a HUD, I don't need too much in the way of panels. That's kind of cool. I'm liking that a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this. Let's screw some stuff here really quick. So one of the reasons why I have those like shelves here is because I have. Do I need those shelves anymore? Let me see. I might be able to get rid of them now. Actually, I changed something. Yeah, oh, yeah, I can get rid of those now. All right. So before I couldn't get rid of those because they were 1x4s, and I got rid of them on purpose. So that's like that now. Okay. So. Trying to see what I want to do here. I could put a piece of glass there. And I don't need too much glass. Really don't. Let's try a piece of glass here. I can always put those shelves back later if I want them. All right, so that's pretty good there. And then this area is still bugging me in here. The issue is this, is if I stretch this block to be 2, it's going to be half and half on either side. And so I can't get it to stretch and XML through here without it essentially being ultra weird there. So what are you? You are an important part you can't be screwed with. So let's go there. Let's try. I'm just trying to like integrate this panel so it doesn't look too strange. That looks weird. Don't like it. Do not like. Let's see. Yeah, it's like very shelfy here, so I can't do too much about it there. And so let's see. I do not need a ton of panels on this. You know, I could find stuff to kind of put in panels here. You know, part of it is it's actually a reasonably wide cockpit, even though it doesn't really seem all that wide. I'm still bugged if I do this, right? It looks fine from the cockpit, but then back here you'd want to smooth this out. And I can't put a smoothing block there, so it just kind of weirds me out. I don't know. I don't know. I'm having a kind of a crisis of design here. I'm overthinking it too. It's like I don't need to. It's like we're not going to see most of this. But that tends to be how it is, you know. You nitpick something, you know, I talk about this a lot. You nitpick something and then later you don't even see it. Like say that we have perfect visibility, we don't see into those corners. It hits right in the panel corner. That gives us plenty of paneling. Still have good visibility. Lose a little bit right in the corners here, but I don't care. I don't need ultra visibility. Again, I'm good without it. And then that HUD can go. Okay, good. So I think we'll stick with this for now. This gives me lots of panels to work with, and I need to come in here and delete those and then put them in without symmetry, or else they're going to be inverted and screw up my numbers and just make it harder. So that's good there. All right, nice. That is set in there. Let's see what I want to. I'll leave that ceiling for later. All right, so we have a pretty reasonable running helicopter here. Let's up the percentage on these to like, let's go 50s on these. I'll just drop it in the world really quick, make sure it still behaves fine. Okay, nice. All right, so that's good. The aircraft's running pretty well. Let's throw a coat of paint on it. You know, sometimes it seems early to throw some paint on it, but it often kind of pulls the build together and gets me more interested in it. So let's go bucket. Let's try the silver that I use sometimes. And let's see where we're at with this silver. The the Airbus X3 is silver. It's not that it's a replica again, but it's kind of like that color, and I haven't used it on anything, and we'll see how it turns out. I may hate it, so. I almost always use black for my windows, and I should just put them in as black, but I end up always painting them later anyway, so it just takes me some extra time. Symmetry would help too, but old habits die hard sometimes. A lot of it's like I just want precision. I want to make sure when I'm doing something, I'm doing it because I want to. It's like people ask me why I don't use some of the quick keys, like you know, for getting rid of for X for erase. I don't like it because I don't want it to do anything quickly that I don't want to. I want to take time and actually like I'm thinking about whether I actually want to do that before I do it. And so it's kind of slow, you know, purposefully slows me down. Sometimes you want to purposefully slow you down. It's like, you know, they have things in traffic engineering that are purposely slowing everybody down, and it's so that you can make decisions better. And so I want to purposely slow myself down to make better decisions sometimes. So don't want to do everything super duper fast. That's when you start making errors, and it makes it more difficult. This wing's a little bit too stubby for my liking. I've thought of some XML ideas especially for where the propellers go, but I haven't really worked with that yet. I could do color swap on this, but I don't want the silver color in between the blocks. That's again why I'm not doing that. All right, nice. So this is coming along pretty well here. Like some color on here. The nice thing is I can easily color swap out the silver on the parts that I want. That's another reason 9000 why I'm not just doing it initially is this will help me to get it the way I want it. All right. And so that's the door. That goes there. Good, good. All right. So a little bit of color, I think it just adds a lot of interest to the build, starts getting me interested in it and involved in it, and I think that's an important step. All right, good. All right, so that's coming along. Give me a little bit of color. I definitely want an accent line or lines. So it's either going to be here or it's going to be here. Probably central line, maybe. Just find a color that I like here. Now, breaks it up. Kind of hating this accent line there, but it's not a good spot for it. Should be like there, maybe. Gonna have a second accent line. Should be like there. I'll go with that for now. I can always change. I just want to get a little bit of color on this so that it doesn't look so incomplete. All right, so let's continue here. A little bit of painting, and then we'll move on and get some more stuff done. But it just kind of livens the build up a little bit, I find. So worth getting on to that just to give it a little bit of life. All right, good. So that's done for now. Let's paint a little bit in here. This will help take the harshness off that transition, like there. Yeah, so like this will kind of cut those out a little bit, cut the shadows a little bit on that. There we go. And then let's see, what do I want for dash? I've been using this brown sometimes. We'll use that for now. I'm not a huge fan of it, maybe. I'm using kind of this blue color as kind of my dashes for a lot of my dashes. Kind of like Airbus does that. Paint this floor kind of like this gray color. All right, and I can work interior. I'll throw a couple interior colors in here. All right, that's good there. And then kind of like this cream on the ceiling. And then I'm going to have to manually do the wings. And you'll notice I paint a lot of my leading edges on my wings black. That's if they have pneumatic de-icing boots. This wing is looking itty bitty, but the wing on the X3 is itty bitty, and so kind of don't hate having this kind of on the tiny side for a wing. All right, so a little bit of paint on there just to kind of get us interested in the build, but I like the shape. General shape looks really good. I'm happy with that. Seems to be coming along pretty well here. Flies really well. I'm happy with the flight characteristics of it. Happy that it goes pretty fast. Yeah, so those characteristics are pretty good. It's operating pretty well. You know, it's going to be a while before I even bother going into things like aerodynamics. Trying to see if I wanted to. I like the shapes of this. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a little bit of a flight here. Just kind of see if there's any flight tweakage. Did some design stuff. Let's get into some flying and try to see. Oh, I just took out my speedo and stuff, so. Alright, so I need to fix that. What it's going to do is it's going to start off, it's going to have a ground idle and a flight idle. So you'll often have this in aircraft. You'll have a ground idle, so you don't need a lot of power to just taxi around. And especially in game, I don't want I kind of use it as a way for the helicopter to not take off when I'm not ready. And so sometimes I leave it running, say when I'm dropping people off from a rescue. And so I will leave them, I'll leave it in ground idle. I also want it to start in ground idle. One of the reasons it's doing that hesitation is it's trying to go up too much in throttle, and it's not able to do that. So the other thing I want to do is I want to start the propellers before I start the rotor, and that's going to stop that torquing effect right off the bat, and then it's also going to gently bring in the rotor, so those are some of the things I can work on in the microcontroller. But flies beautifully. Like, the auto hover is not on at all, as you can see. Manually controlling all of that, so I haven't even put an auto hover button in there yet. All right, let's go to this engine panel and start working a little bit on some of these things I want to do. So let me look really quick, see if I still have... All right, so I still have this clutch in here. We're not going to do the thing where I shut the rotor off in flight. I don't need that. It doesn't give me enough benefit, and it adds a... See, this is why I hate bucket. People always ask me why I don't use the bucket. It's because of this. I want this wall to be white. And it is now a color I don't want it to be, because the bucket's not precise enough. And so I have to just go back and change all the colors anyway, so it's like, see, like that. I don't want that to be silver, so that's why I don't use bucket, is the bucket, half the time I have to go back and fix it. And so it's often just faster for me just to do it right the first time. I find the bucket very annoying, so it's, to answer the question that often comes up, why I don't use the bucket, it's because I end up having to go back and fix it all the time. So this right here is, I wish the devs would fix this. You see this? It has to be one color. And that's why this one is actually down here, is so that I don't see that. Yeah, that's a pain right there. So that has to be body color right here, which is gross, because that shows inside. But I'm trying not to worry about it too much here. And I'll repaint all this because of the bucket. So again, that's why I don't use bucket. It rarely does what I want it to do, and it generally does things I don't want it to do. So that's why I don't use the bucket. It takes me twice as long sometimes it feels to use it. All right, let's go ahead. Just do a hair painting here. So what I'm going to do is it's going to have a different starting RPS than a drive RPS or a flight. It'll have a flight idle and a ground idle, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, good. All under these seats is going to be my standard. What I'll generally do is underneath the seats, I'll put things like med packs and defibs and my fire extinguishers and all that sort of stuff will go underneath my seats. So that's why I'm going to leave those white. Those will get dealt with later. All right. So let's work on that microcontroller. That paint already annoyed me, so I had to fix it. All right, so currently what we're doing here is the clutch works fine for the regular clutch, but I added a second clutch into the rotor assembly, and I want to do that now. So let's go with this. All right, and I need to add a block, so let's update this and then go back. This is kind of too tight to the body to be able to expand it, so I need to go out a little bit. Yeah, we'll expand this a little bit here. See if we can't merge that back to where it needs to go. There we go. Merge that back. Okay, good. All right, so we need to add a clutch for the rotor. Rotor clutch. All right. And so this here is going to be rotor clutch. So I just need to move this, and all this needs to be hooked up the same as this down here. So RPS goes here, and then this is going to be different. So currently the propellers start getting clutch at 2.6. This is going to get clutch at 5 RPS. Yeah, let's say 5 RPS. We'll make ground idle 5. And then this will grab the, see where the rotor, so I just made a block. I don't know where it came in, so I have to find it. That can go. Clean stuff up here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it at? Ugh. See, this has been annoying as I changed the way I do this. I'll show you what I do now. So I'm going to get rid of rotor clutch, go back. What I do now is I pretty much move the whole stack down. And that way, when I add a new node like this, it should put it where I can see it. Okay, it's right here. So I just moved it. I didn't move this enough. So like if I move this down more, when I spawn new blocks, they'll be right here. And so I'll be able to find them more easily. So that was something I started doing pretty recently. All right, rotor clutch goes there. So that's going to give me rotor clutch a little bit later than this one. So that should help the engine to start up. So it's just current constant number 13. I will eventually put that in where we have flight and ground idle. Wow, can I not speak today? All right, let's update that. All right, so this should have a little bit easier time starting because it's not trying to spin the huge rotor. Alright, so we can change the increment on that to get that going even, make that even better here. So this increment's 0.005, we'll add a 2 there, and that's now half as fast to get the rotor clutched. And actually, you know what it is? It had nothing to do with that. I forgot to hook it up. So, had nothing to do with that, so let's go back on that. That should be fine. The issue is this, is I didn't hook it up correctly. So it's still using the same clutch for both, and then I have a manual, this manual throttle here is what's powering the clutch. That needs to go, and then this here is going to be rotor clutch. Now the rotor clutch is operated by that. This should be different now. So I thought the rotor was starting up pretty quick for what I set it to, so let's try it now. Alright, so it's still coming in too fast. It's not able to get that rotor without stalling out. So let's edit the micro. Let's add that 2 back in there. Let's try it. It's a little boring, kind of like tweakages that, you know, kind of make the build better, but are not fun. So spare you a bunch of this stuff. Alright, so you see it was able to not stall the engine that time. That's because the engine already got torque, had enough torque to do that. So it's just a little, kind of a tiny little thing, but it makes a big difference. You know, these little details. And does my build stall and make a bunch of stalling noise when it starts, or does it start like a normal person? Alright, it had one little hesitation there when the props came in, and that's again probably because the torque was... So let's go 0.004 there, so just a little bit, and I'm also going to change this to 3. And I want no stall sound when I start my engines. So, you know, what it's doing is overloading it. Is you need some of the power needs to go to compression, which is simulated by the engine needs 2 RPS for itself. Nice. Okay. Getting better. Still not perfect. Let's go. So, slow down the rate as well on this one. Trying to make it so it does no stall sound. That's the plan. No stall sound, please. And then we have no stall sound now. Perfect. Oh, just did it on that one. And that's because this one is now coming in at the same time the props. The props have not sped up. They don't have enough momentum. So do half of that. And now that should make it so the rotor comes in even slower now, and the propellers. So we need to get the propellers up to speed and have momentum. Let me be quiet so I can hear. There we go. Alright, so all that did was the propellers, once they're up to momentum, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So once the propellers are in motion, they require very little energy to stay in motion. And so what was happening was I was trying to get the propellers moving, so it required a lot of energy to get them moving from their rest position. And then at the same time, I started trying to get the rotors moving from its rest position, which requires a lot of energy. And because the engine doesn't have enough energy, it stalls. And so by doing it this way, once the propellers get up to speed, well, guess what? It doesn't take very much energy to keep them in motion. So then it starts moving the rotor, and then the engine now has enough energy to move that rotor, so it gets rid of that stall noise. So flying really well, flying nicely. Let's get a quick little screen shotty here. But it's behaving well. It's flying really well. This is going to be a cool plane, cool aircraft. Let's put it that way. It's a helicopter. You know, this seems to be the trend in helicopters now, is pushers and pullers, and for obvious reasons. Is, you know, the benefit of the helicopter is just it's a tried and true platform for vertical takeoff, and the propellers let you keep that nice level deck angle while also being able to go very fast. And so, you know, and the game makes it so that it's hard to get a fast helicopter standard, so there are plenty of real life examples of these like this. Alright, so let's see. What else do I want to do? Let's start cracking on the panel. I'm trying to think of what's interesting that would be good, and then I'm going to do some off-screen. I try to keep as much on-screen as I can, but I do a bunch off-screen. So, up at the top here, I want... Let's see, how do I want to do this? So, let's see. I'm going to try something... I might try a little different how I set this up. So autopilot bearing there, maybe all autopilot on this side. So I'm trying to kind of reform some of the ways I do things. So let's do that. So let's go keypad. See, I have enough panel space. I could do it all on here. Let's do this. Let's undo that. I might have enough. I think I have an excessive amount of panel space here, so I might be able to do it exactly all here. So I'm talking to myself a lot, I know. But let's go. So what I'm thinking here is my autopilot stuff. And so what I can do with some of my autopilot stuff is generally I'm kind of wanting for space in these builds. And now I think I can probably do this without wanting for too much space. How do these look on their side? I've never put these on their side before. That could look kind of interesting on their side. And then what do I want? Green for additive. Maybe one on its side and then one not on its side. Maybe like that. That will help me differentiate between which ones for altitude will be vertical and heading. So that's kind of an interesting thought. I'm trying to balance this out. See, that looks like Keypad City is one of the only things that kind of makes me not want to do it like that. So I'm just trying to, it's a little bit pedantic, but it's also, kind of wants it the ways I wants it, and the way you do it in real life is, human factors. I always talk about human factors, and so it's important to have like systems together. And so, for example, this is going to be my autopilot suite. So this is going to be my autopilot screen that controls my mode controls for my autopilot. This is going to be my altitude hold. This is going to be my heading hold. This is going to be my waypoint for my GPS. So all these are together. So when I say, hey, I need to work on my autopilot, you can go all the way across and set everything you need. So I can set my waypoint, I can set my heading, I can set my altitude, I can activate my modes. So it's called a flow. In aviation, you flow. So you come from here and you flow across. You don't want to be hunting and pecking. You don't want to go here, 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 here to do something. You want to go from here to here to here to here, done. And so that's why I'm kind of reforming how I set these things up. I think bearing panel will go here. And so that'll be navigation. So this will be navigation and autopilot all there. And then, so what that allows me to do is keep like systems together. And so that is good human factors. So you want to have all of your, let's actually not do that right now. You want to have all of your electrical systems together. You want to have your navigation systems together. That just makes life so much easier and logical. And it really makes it super duper easy to find things. Like here, I'll show you something to finish up here. All right, so here is the overhead panel for the Embraer 145, which I used to fly. And so this is all your electrical stuff right here. So you have Gen 1, Gen 2, 4, 3. So 1 and 3 are on engine 1. They're odd numbered. 2 and 4 are on the number 2 engine. They're even numbered. So your odds are your number 1 engine, evens. You have DC bus 1. So you have battery 1, so it's off auto. You have DC bus 2. You have the bat 2 off an auto. Your ground power unit. Ground power unit is plug-in from, it could be like a mobile generator. It could be plug-in to the actual terminal's electricity. You have APU generator here, so that's power from your APU. You have your avionics master, which turns on the power to all your screens. And so what this does is this makes it so that you can, I think that's master power there, I think, if I can remember right. And so all these are your electrical systems. So you come in, you would press on, I think the power button is always lit. You click that up. You click that on. It gives power via battery to the aircraft. I can't remember if you had to select a battery there. These load shedding, you put that on auto, so I think auto load shed. It's been many years, so I'm trying to remember it all. Almost 20. No, not quite almost 20. It's getting close to 20 years now. And so if we go through here, this is your fuel. So you have your fuel pump selectors, your tanks here, your fuel flow. Here is that. I'm trying to remember what that is. That's like your attendant call button. I forget what all these do. Here are your lights. As you notice, your lights are in a row. So I talk about this sometimes. So like you have nav, beacon, strobe. I can't remember what that is. So those are all on when you take off. So nav will come on as your taxi, or beacon will come on when you start an engine. Nav, taxiing at night, strobes, those will all come on for takeoff. So your beacon will already be on. You'll go click, click, click. That it should be your display light. That's your logo light, essentially. They just call it display light. Here are your different landing lights. So you have your wing lights, and I think these are your tips, I think, and those are more centralized. Then you have your taxi light. And so, for example, when we were cleared for the approach, we'd click on our taxi light. When we were clear to land, we'd click on our landing lights. So those are all together. They're not in weird places all over the place. like your fasten seatbelt, no smoking, dome. And part of this is with your flow, you'd come in, you'd do your electrical panel, you'd come up, you'd do your APU test, your fire test for your APU. So you click on that, it would check all the lights. You see me do that in cap air. Test is right here, actually. And then you would go ahead and once you know that your test is working, you would turn on your APU, and then you come over here and you could stay on ground power, but generally if you've started the APU, you want APU gen. Click on your APU gen. You come down here, your power plant. That's your ignition. You leave your ignition alone. Another human factors thing is, for example, these switches here, those are your engine start switches, and your ignitions are here. And so you'll turn your ignitions on if you're going into heavy rain. And so one of the reasons these are covered is so you don't accidentally grab one of these trying to turn your ignition. That's also why they're up here, is they're separated. So sometimes you separate things you don't want to accidentally touch. You don't want to accidentally shut down an engine trying to turn on a light. So the light, see the shape of the lights? They feel a lot different than this. They're a lot different size than this. So even though these are right next to each other, one of the reasons they're different shapes and size, that's one reason why you very rarely see me do, like, I might do like 4 buttons in a row for a system, but then I go to knobs or flip switches, what we have in game. And so I'll switch because you don't want to, you'll have this set of stuff here will be the same, then this set of stuff will be different, then this set of stuff is the same, and then it's something different. And then this is something different compared to these. These are flip switches, these are buttons. Why are they not all buttons? Because you get so friggin' confused, you never know what you're doing. And I can blindly reach up and I can grab my nav light and not be afraid I'm going to press this button, And so that's why. So it's just a little human factors thing, but notice how the systems are together. This is all my power plant stuff. Actually, these are screws. You take this whole module out. So if there's something wrong with this module, the AMP mechanics could come in, take this panel out, pull it, I think it's probably hooked to one cable maybe, and then they put a whole new module in, and it should take them like 10 minutes, stuff like that. These are all your hydraulics are together in a system. So I know there's a little departure here, kind of for the end of the video, but so sometimes people wonder why I set up my systems the way I do, and I'm constantly trying to improve. And let me just show you the autopilot really quick. So I'm not going to go into depth with this because it's giving me a terrible picture. It's almost impossible to find good pictures here. But this is like all your autopilot stuff is in here. You have your FMSs here, which actually like you put in your routing, but then all the autopilot controls together, and that makes it nice and simple and easy. And so that's why I'm kind of revamping my system. So let's go back in the game for a second, and then we'll finish up the episode. All right, so that's part of why I kind of changed the methodology with this. So like when you're sitting here, you don't need to look at all your autopilot control stuff all the time. And so that's why you see it's kind of low. It's out of my field of vision. The most important thing that gives me the most information is going to be my HUD here. That's my PFD. That's my primary flight display. That's going to have most of my information. Then we're going to have backup information that's going to be close. So in the event, and so this is also stuff that I need to know my speed and look out the window at the same time. So with a HUD, I can know my speed and look out the window at the same time through it. But if this fails, let's say the monitor gets damaged, well, oh no, I have no speed information. Well, guess what? You put it right here. And you'd put your altitude, you put your airspeed, you put that. So this is going to get that 6-pack that I like. Will probably be under here as a backup, and then we'll have some starter buttons and stuff. I might need this space, we'll see. But that's kind of where we're going on this. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll do a bunch off screen. Me just putting a panel together is probably not all that interesting, and I kind of want to get back to some other stuff too. So do some of this off screen, and I'll catch you up when I get there. Thanks for watching.